What's up, lemon heads? Welcome back to another episode of From the Yellow Chair. I'm Emily,
And I'm Crystal.
and this week we're going to talk about SEO and what the heck that even means.
Yeah, we know we all know we pretty much need SEO, and we love to throw around that little acronym.
Mm-hmm.
But that's search engine optimization. But what we do as contractors is we really need to know what we need to know. Does that make sense? Like we need to
Right.
know what is important for me to know as a contractor versus being the one that's actually behind the scenes doing the SEO. And so that tends to become this $1 million question, right? Like, Crystal, I don't feel like I'm getting anything, and this company says they're doing SEO. So we are here today to share some insight, chit chat about that, how to prepare your mind, how to have a good grasp of what you should expect and understand. We're probably going to get a tad nerdy, and
Yep.
everyone's fine. It's all
It's all
fine.
good.
All right. So, you know what? It's time to sip some lemonade.
Let's do it. All right, so in our virtual lemonade stand today, we have Brittany Murphy, the partner at One Thing Marketing, where they specialize in helping home service companies get their phone to ring with new leads. So, welcome, Brittany.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on.
Of
Yeah, I'm
course.
not going to lie. I'm partial to all vendors that are home service industry focused.
Of course.
Because there's tons of web companies, but when they know our jam, it's that's great. So we're so excited to have you here with us. So give us a little bio about you and tell us about yourself.
Yes, well, I've been with One Thing Marketing for about a decade. We opened in 2011, though. And even before COVID, we had over half of our client base in the home trades, partnered with a local distribution company here for one of the main HVAC
Ah,
providers.
okay.
Very good.
Really expanded our base, and kind of before, I think about 2019, we said, you know what, heck, let's dive in and be real marketers and let's niche down.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So we made the nose first dive into really kind of working with solely with the trades in the home service industry. So, which was a great experience to have that under our buckle before we jumped into COVID. Because as we kind of talked before this podcast started, those were the guys that were in business.
Yeah.
They were the ones in demand. So it was great that we got to partner with those guys and really help them get that visibility during what we thought was going to be a slow time, but only a slow time if you stopped marketing during that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But just quickly about me, I actually am the daughter of a pipe fitter. So my
Ah,
father worked for over 30 years for a sprinkler company here locally in Kentucky. So I really kind of understand as not that he was an owner in the business, but being a business that works for a family trade business is you kind of live and die by how well that business is doing. When
Absolutely.
there's a lot of leads, you're doing great. When there's not a lot of leads, you're not doing so great. So it's kind of a great passion of how I grew up to make sure that a lot of these local businesses are hanging in there. And if they are going to sell out, they're making great money to pass on future generations if they do decide to merge or sell or anything else. So it's a very fun industry,
Yeah.
as you all are aware.
Absolutely.
yes, it is so fun. I mean, we love it. Well, I think let's jump right into some SEO chit
Yeah.
chat.
So, Brittany, get us started on like SEO 101. So, like, what do I, as a contractor, like, what do I need to know about it? Because, like, we're not techie, we're not digital. Contractors, they like working with their hands, but they do need to know a little bit. What do they need to know?
Really, at the end of the day, what we need to understand is search engine optimization, SEO, is all about sending as many clues and signals to Google about what services you provide and in which areas you provide those services.
Hmm.
Now, when you think of any marketing activity you're doing, you're going to relay that back to, does it provide enough clues to Google about what I do? So, a big thing I talk to a lot of contractors about is when you have a good foundation for your marketing, when you're going to go year and year after SEO, it's all going to come down to two things. That is the physical content you create for your website, and that is also the link building you do. And link building, in its simplest of terms, is getting a link. So someone is listing your abchvac.com website on their supplier website. And someone can click that link and go to your website. So just as we're reading any news article that should link their sources, that exactly is what a link is. And so Google wants to use a mixture of a good content on your website and enough other websites sending to your website to say, hey, this guy must know what he's talking about. Other people are sending to him. He has good resources. All these things kind of build together. We are sending again enough clues and signals. Hey, I do HVAC, I do roofing, I'm in Cincinnati, I'm in Toledo. Those elements are really at the basis. We want to go just really the basics of SEO. That's what it's going to come down to, and what you're always going to question your marketing company is, are they doing those things?
Cool.
How does one build like a link building strategy? Because that requires like other people to link you on their website. So how does one even go about to like build up their backlinks?
Yeah. So, as far as the very first fundamental step of building links is actually all of the local directories out there. And this is a step that if you were a DIYer or if you're kind of a smaller man band and you need to do these things in house, this is where you want to start. So, we're all aware of Google My Business or Google Business Profile as it's now
Yeah.
named.
They just like to
That
change things up on us, you
Yeah.
know.
they got to keep us on our toes, right? Just to show
Yeah.
we're keeping
Yes.
ourselves educated. Your Google Business Profile has a link to your website on it. That is actually a local directory, and it's the biggest and best local directory out there. But it does use information from other directories to do that. And all those other directories, Yelp, Bing, Yahoo, your Home Advisor, Angie's List, Thumbtack, all of these places are areas in which you can create a profile, have all the information about your services in the city in which you do. But the main thing about creating that profile is having that link back to your website. And the reason I'm saying start there is because guess what? All of your competitors already have all of those.
Hmm.
They're the simplest things we can kind of go in and create. So once you've done that step, getting back to Emily's tougher question, how do we continue with that? Think of anything and everything you do where you are purchasing from somewhere or you are touching some type of other company. So, for example, who are your suppliers? Who are you buying through? Do they list their different agents, and different people that they've had education through, their certified providers? There's different things of those elements. Go after all of those. After that, something I think that you all probably mention your marketing is making sure you have that kind of community awareness.
Hmm.
And so
Yeah.
we kind of go after community awareness. You can make sure that more city relevant websites, so other businesses in town where you are, link back to your website as well. So we're trying to go after industry related websites. So your suppliers, your manufacturers, product people, and also your city relevance with all those local websites that are near and dear to you.
Yeah, that to me, that's why it doesn't make sense. So, like, sometimes we'll get clients and they'll say, "Well, I've got a website, but I have no SEO," and I'm like, "Well, what's the point?
Yeah.
Like, what's the point?" So, and I think it's important. Contractors, I think, do not have a problem spending money. It's more about they just need to understand what game they're in, right? Am I doing a sprint? Am I doing a marathon? Am I doing a 200 lap? What, or 400 lap? Like, what's this look like? Well, SEO is a long game strategy. But those every time I say this to contractors, you're going to look up and wish you would have started sooner. Because you'll start
Hmm.
seeing it come to fruition. But I really like what you said about sending clues and signals, because I always, and I'm very simplistic because I'm not digitally, like, it's just not what I like to focus on in my mind. Technology, I can't even talk today.
She's
Technology,
technologically sound.
yeah,
No, now you got me messed up.
yes.
She's challenged.
Yes. I do it. It's just because I'm 41, and so, I didn't grow up with technology and things like that. So everything that I've learned is from being exposed to it, but I don't do it every day.
Hmm.
So it's neither do most of our contractors, but this made really good sense to me. And I had another contractor tell me the other day the same thing. You need to have a page for every city and every service. So if you've got four big cities that you're trying to service and you do repair, installation, and maintenance, and plumbing and water heaters, you need to have something very close to water heaters Lufkin or water heater Sugarland, and then you need to have repair AC Sugarland. Like, all of that's a lot of pages and it can really add up. But you just need to understand what game you're playing, right? So we don't want to be running a football play on the basketball court. We have got to get a little bit of an understanding, right, to know what to do
Well, and
there.
I think also just like how you're talking about with the local directories, like your chamber of commerce or like the local nonprofits and stuff. A lot of times our contractors, they're already donating to these organizations or they're sponsoring that banquet, things like that. Like sometimes they just need to do the next step of like asking, hey, could you link my website on your website here because I sponsor this event, things like that. So sometimes just knowing they need to take that extra little step because they're already doing the other part of it.
Yeah.
It's just kind of being educated to know to make that ask.
Yeah, and it's just in the follow up. So if you don't know it
Hmm.
doesn't exist, then you're never going to do it. So that's kind of why,
Absolutely.
yes, you want that expert to tell you, hey, that's great. Do they have a website? Well, yeah, they do. They've had one for a while. Okay. and then A, B, C, D. Here are the next steps let's do to make sure that we can have the biggest bang for our buck out of this. Because that's kind of why I don't like to shit on any type of traditional marketing. I like to track it, and then we
Mhm.
can make a decision on it.
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
you could do a really great job with getting some great efforts from traditional marketing. Guess what? Because of that, we also might be able to get a link or a
Yep.
piece of content from it. There's some stuff we can add to this that can make the more picture a little bit more whole. There's
Yeah.
a lot more benefits.
Yeah, and I live that life too. Like normally when we get new contractors, I'm like, we're not going to drop anything immediately.
No.
But most of the time, and again, this goes back to the conversation we had before the podcast started. True CRM manage, true CRMs, the Service Titan, Field Edge, Service Fusion, all of those that have either the capability to partner with like CallRail or Conversa, or it has its own built-in tracking. It is a flipping game changer because you stop going off of gut and you see real numbers and real performance, and you can really start making some good decisions for your marketing.
Yeah.
Everything else until then is just like a gut check. Like, oh,
Mhm.
okay. I mean, I feel like this is good. And a lot of times numbers don't lie and they will hurt your feelings and
Yeah.
make you aware. But no, you're exactly right. Like I don't ever stop anything. We just need to start evaluating and having expectations of performance. And then we can back up. The number one problem though that I see is when you're looking at the marketing funnel and you've got the top of the funnel where most people live, and you got the very very bottom of the funnel of the few people in it's all relative, right? So at the bottom there's very very few people that actually need our services right this moment,
Right.
comparatively speaking, but everybody's hovering down there at the bottom of the funnel, and a lot of people aren't doing work at the top. And so SEO is that long-term strategy that you're putting your own self out there, and you're being found where people are looking and when they are looking. But it's a lot of work
No, and it's
beforehand.
something that takes a lot of time too, just like you said.
And that's kind of what I like to call it. It's the unsexy thing of diet and exercise.
Yeah.
Mm.
SEO is not the diet pill. Ads are great. They're the diet pill. We can use those while SEO is taking its time to germinate, plant that seed, and really grow into something great. But it's that long, slow, and dirty grind. And so, as you said, Crystal, we're talking to people at all parts of the funnel in SEO, but we have to prioritize people sometimes at the top
Yep.
because we're not only giving clues and signals to Google of what we do and why you should rank us. By ranking, we're actually showing authority in our industry because most clients today think that those who rank high on Google, it's because they're a good business. And Google does try to rank people with high reviews and a higher number of reviews. So it does play into that game. But 9 times out of 10, it's because they're working with someone like us or they're running ads to show up high in the search engine
Yeah.
results.
Their SEO game was stronger, really.
Well, and I love how you just gave that. I mean, it just sparked another analogy for me, but diet and exercise is the SEO strategy. Like when you work with a digital agency that works like in your industry, they're kind of like the nutritionist. So like they know specifically what's going to work for you versus, well, this worked for so and so, or just throwing things at the wind. You know, you can dive into the specifics of the
'Cause
home service industry,
oh,
the actual
yeah.
services, the seasonalities, and doing that. So instead of just picking a digital company, because they're not all the same, so when they
No.
can find their niches and own that part, you can probably get a lot better results.
Well, and two, like you're talking about, the strategy cannot be the same if you live in Atlanta, Georgia,
No,
and then Lufkin, Texas,
no, ma'am.
or
They are
or
very different, as
or
I've determined.
Shreveport, Louisiana, or Las Vegas, Nevada. There needs You should be really concentrating on the strategy piece. And it's not rocket science. And it's not rocket science what Lemon Seed does. And honestly, SEO experts will probably tell you it's not rocket science. I literally look at it and go, we're going to do this. And so I think those are important things. Well, okay, so that's the basics
Hmm.
of SEO, right? Like what it's there for. I like the idea of this SEO 202. I still want contractors to sit down. Okay. I ain't even gonna lie to y'all. Like, I need y'all to get up out of your website. Like, get out of your website, because probably you need to be focusing on running your business, not building your website. Which some people like it. It's kind of what they do as a hobby. But let's talk about the expertise and things that come from an actual SEO agency. But onto SEO 202, as we say. So I know there's an off page and an on page SEO. I'm not 100% sure, speaking from a contractor, right? What are those two things? And I think you kind of alluded to it earlier, but because sometimes the digital companies will tell my contractor, well, I don't do offsite. SEO, I only do on-site SEO, or vice versa, or how you need to grow this piece. What is the difference in those two? And then we, as a contractor, where can I make the biggest difference? And I think it's going to lead into what you already answered, but just another step in there.
Yes. So we're going to go pretty basic with this one. On page means we're optimizing on the pages of your actual website. Off page with an SEO person would mean that they're actually optimizing you via methods off of your website. So that would be link building, as we talked about before. That could be press releases, guest posts. It's anything that's being added to some other website to link people to come back to yours. Also, directories would be off page optimization. So for a quick, easy example, if you're adding FAQs or blog posts, that would be on page optimization. If you're doing things like adding reviews to your Google My Business, trying to get all of your different directories linked and trying to create a link building strategy, those would be everything off page. And those kind of have some equal relative importance when it kind of comes down to it. But as you ask, which one's more important for the contractor to do themselves? Is that where we want to go with this?
Yeah, again, I think my goal here is I always want the contractor to know what do I need to be doing to support my SEO team? Because I hear that a lot. Like the vendor partners that Lemon Seed work with, our job as Lemon Seed employees is to be the liaison between the contractor and their vendor partners through creativity, through strategy, and all of those good pieces. But sometimes we really struggle to know what does the vendor actually need from the contractor. And so that's kind of the direction that I like to go. You've done a great job answering that so far.
Because a lot of contractors, like, they've been in this game for a while, so like they've heard the basics SEO and they kind of have that. But like, if they want to understand it, or hey, when I built my website, we got it set up with SEO then. But like, it has to be an ongoing, continuous strategy, not a set it and forget it type thing.
Yes. So let's pick local SEO because most probably local service business we're talking about, they might have a 30 to a 50-mile range is most times the none who I'm talking to. So when it comes to that local SEO side, there's a few things that are going to help you rank. One, you're going to have that Google My Business profile. So to touch on something Crystal said earlier, is that you heard from someone, you have to write pages for each city you want to do a service in and each service that you want to do in the city. You're absolutely right, Crystal. To add on top of that, as a marketing company, we need our businesses to help us actually secure that Google My Business location. And the reason for that is we're seeing it is getting harder and harder to rank further organically across Google. And unfortunately, we're seeing more competitions coming up as well. So there's kind of a few reasons this is coming into play with it. But if we're trying to spread ourselves out, and this is kind of where I fall into uh, really the strategy side with some of my techs and contractors is their services, yes, 100%, 50 miles radius from one end to the other, but those could be a span across 2, 3 cities. When it comes down to that, you're going to have some type of physical satellite office location so we can get a Google My Business in those areas.
Mm-hmm.
Google is not ranking as easily organically versus the local when you can show up in the maps.
Okay, this is a great question. So this is what happens. Contractors will be so I'm gonna use the city that I live in. It's called Diboll. I know everybody's so enthralled. Look it up. Y'all can't even spell it, but it's called Diboll. My Texas comes out, but Diboll. Diboll has about 5,000 people in it, right? And I will get this question. I will have a contractor with a little old bitty city, the town of Diboll, and they're like, I'm not ranking for Diboll. Well, sir, no one is searching. So I live in Diboll. I do not go search heating and air conditioning contractors in Diboll.
You search
I
Lufkin.
search the closest cities to me. And also, so when you're thinking about this strategy, if the city is big enough to have a location for you, okay, that's a no brainer. Then you should be optimizing that city into. The other thing I might would look at is, am I maybe getting ready to go into that city and put a physical location? You might could start some SEO building because remember, it's a long game.
Mm-hmm.
So if I know in 6 months I want to go to town X, and they're a pretty good size. I'm not sure if I'm going to put a location there or not. I could get started with that. But your little podunk city, I'm not sure that we need to be, and you can correct me there. I mean, little bitty cities in between the big cities, unless people are actually searching for that, like look up the search volume for that. Have your SEO
I
company
will.
show you. it ain't nothing to and we actually have like 2 companies that are located in Diboll, but people just aren't searching that, and Lord, if you depended on Diboll to support your business, you'd be in
Well,
trouble.
I mean, y'all don't even got a Walmart,
Yeah.
like
We have 3 stoplights and a smile, but we're a good little city, but I just know, like, I do not know that it's a best SEO
but, like, you
practice.
also know because you live in Diboll, like, if you really want anything, you're gonna have to go to Lufkin. So if you're gonna
Yes.
search anything, you would probably search Lufkin,
Or near me. So
Yeah.
that's the other struggle. I think the contractors were like, "Oh my gosh, near me," or "What do I do?" But I love what you said. Like, ideally, we want a Google business. We want a Google business profile location.
Mhm.
That's ideally what we want. That's how we rock and roll, and not a fake one of a
Yeah, I was gonna
PO
say,
box
don't be
inside.
getting wild and free,
Yeah, a
like
PO box inside a Kroger. That ain't it either. A storage building, like a roll up 5x5 at the local Zesty storage. You need to have legitimate business practices going on.
Well, to answer your question, there are zero searches for Diebold HVAC or
Yeah.
any type of HVAC company for Diebold. So yes, you're absolutely right. You want to play the easy game with the low hanging fruit and the long term game at the same time. So low easy hanging fruit are all the small cities and counties that you are in between these bigger cities that you go. What you would rely on is someone like myself or anyone that can find search volume to tell you a quick answer like that. Hey, no one's searching Diebold. So it's not worth our time to create content for it. However, you might see that not just because there's zero searches doesn't mean you can't create a page, guys. Like if you have
Mm.
time and you have someone doing some things, do
Yeah.
all the stuff that could eventually help you with it. But you're absolutely right. Your long-term game would be going after the biggest city closest to you. And so that's where, yes, if you have two cities spaced out from one another, but they're the big ones, you would want a Google business profile in each of those big cities. And you could probably organically rank on all these small cities in between only because no one else is doing it. So you can kind of go after it that way. But yes, if you're going to pick a new city, you need to kind of put the horse before the cart. Sorry, the horse before the cart.
Yes, yes, yes.
When it kind of comes down to that, because yes, if you have absolutely no visibility, then you can't judge SEO on how well you did in a brand new city that you had absolutely no organic reach in immediately. But that's kind of what I'm consulting and strategizing a lot of guys on right now is they want to expand their reach. They want to do that scale. But when it comes down to it, when we go to that next city, there's too many guys with a physical address in that city. We're never going to compete with them. And a 60 to 70% at least of all phone calls from prospects for home services come from that map pack area.
Mm.
So if you can't rank there, then you're just not getting a lot of business from it. So we need to play the smart game, not the hard game.
Well,
Yeah.
and I think you also bring up a great point is like you have to communicate all of this to your digital partner. Can't be like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I opened up another office 3 months ago," or "I've
Yeah.
really been trying to grow in that area." Like, they have to know your goals too so that they can help come up with solutions to help you reach those goals. You
Yes,
have to
Yeah.
very much
exactly.
treat it as a partnership and, it's a two-way street here.
Yeah. So this has been great. So I want to ask another question. So, I, Lemon Seed's goal, especially, and contractors as well, we're not trying to blow up a digital vendor, right?
No.
I mean, at the end of the day, almost every company we encounter is a good company, and I say almost just because I've not really encountered many of them. I'm just pretty sure there's probably some crappy people out there. But what my goal is like, if you had to, like, what are a few questions that contractors could feel comfortable asking their SEO provider, like that we can absorb or we can understand without getting too in the weeds, that shows our digital provider that we're paying attention.
Right.
Because we get these, for example, we have all these logins to these dashboards and all of that. But when I log into the dashboard as a contractor, it shows that I was up from 50 to 46 on fan coil, searches. I don't really know that that's a good thing. I don't know if that made a hill of beans to anybody, right? So, can you kind of give some advice there, like maybe one or two, three things, like, hey, these are good things to consult with your provider about to check performance.
Yeah. And first and foremost, you're more than able and happy to ask an SEO person, like, what are your expectations on how quickly this will work? Now,
Yeah,
my caveat to that is if your marketer says, oh, like 90 days, we'll be fine. You politely say thank you, and then you run to make sure you get your money back.
yeah, because you a lie.
Because
You're a lie.
they're lying to you completely. So you need to ask about timelines, but you need to understand that when someone asks me that, my answer is I don't have the crystal ball. But with your size, with your service area, and people of similar size and goals that we've worked with previously, we usually see this type of timeline with it. Now, and just so you all, because you might ask me, I'm telling people closer to 6 months.
Mhm.
It is not a quick process. And if you are in a busy city, this is a year over year investment for SEO. Again, that's why we incorporate other marketing as what you all consult on. We operate digital ads because I understand we need to get business immediately, but we understand this is, again, diet and exercise to keep our body happy and healthy and amazing exponentially in the future. We have to invest in our website to make sure it's doing its best job there. So
Yeah.
definitely ask them what that looks like, because what you should get out of that is what is the scope of work they're going to be performing for you. SEO can feel like wizard work, right? You have no
Yeah.
idea what's going on. You have no idea what they're doing, but there actually are real tangible things that we're doing. And so
Yeah.
those are the things you should ask them. What are the actual physical things you'll be doing on my website and maybe off of my website to get me where I need to go? And the last thing of that, they need to track everything, and you need to make sure they are tracking everything. Just like you mentioned, Service Titan gives you some of the best tracking to make sure that you understand exactly where your marketing dollars are going. And as crazy as it is, one of the biggest mistakes I see businesses spending over $100,000 a year on is marketing that they have absolute zero tracking with at all.
No
And so,
Don't get us
accountability.
started. Yeah.
yes, no accountability on that. So that's where you need to ask your vendor, how are you going to track this and what KPIs are we going to look at? Mine are always going to be the physical number of phone calls for most businesses. We count call forms too, or sorry, contact forms. But at the end of the day, the contractor really cares how many times did my phone ring. So make sure at the very least, like that is something you're tracking, because you can track that month over month, year over year. That's the data you're going to need to collect for SEO. Because as we said, it's not just a 90-day over turnaround of here's how quickly we grew it. It's going to be that year over year growth that's going to have that huge trajectory for your website. But those things you start today, you have the ability to measure and hold your vendor accountable to their marketing and their
Yeah,
SEO
because
game plan.
yeah, I say all the time. The last time I checked, I could not make any payroll with clicks and impressions. I need some movement. I need some calls. And right now, contractors are screaming at this time of the year, which is in the winter, right? So right now as we're recording this in February, and so we're looking at mild weather in most places,
Hmm.
chilly weather maybe, but everybody's call counts down and everybody's scrounging for any lead they can get. So no, there's nobody searching right now. So you can get mad at your SEO company and your paid ads company, but it's truly
Demand.
lack of demand. So that's when that other piece, that's why your marketing can't be one-sided. And so that's great feedback.
It can't be. You need to give them that communication, because the biggest thing I joke about when I talk to any business owner, when I talk over our strategy, is guess what? You're going to get busy. This is a seasonal business, but I still need for you to carve out just an hour so every often for us so we can have a meeting so we can discuss things that are going on. And so
Yeah.
the reason I'm bringing this up right now is it's February. Things are slow. I'm sure if you've had a good marketing company, there's probably some emails and some text and some phone calls you haven't returned yet that have them asking you, hey, just curious, what are some FAQs you've been asked recently? Hey, what's any feedback on the website? How are the forms performing? Are you getting more calls? Are they good? Are they spam? All the follow up that we want to do. As I joke, we don't hear from our contractors as much as we do. So this is my plead out into the internet world on Crystal and Emily's show. Please, please, please talk to your marketer and give them all this information, because what we don't know, we can't help fix. So if
Amen.
you
Absolutely.
have expansion, new city, a new service area, help a girl out, help you out. And that's what this downtime is perfect for, is prepping and planning. I mean, given we should have done that more towards the fall, so therefore we were lined up for the new year, but
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with right now, if it's a dull season, to perfect and hone in that marketing and hold yourself accountable. You fall off the bandwagon too, just as much as maybe your marketing company did. So reach out, re-engage, and you might see tremendous things happen. And some unfortunate marketing companies aren't so great. You might reach out and see that your marketing gets started again. So it's
Yeah.
always good. Not all companies are great. So it's always good to check in with them.
No, absolutely. Just
Perfect.
like we said, that two-way street and stuff. So,
Well, Brittany, I loved your advice and your guidance, and you've been so fun to talk to as we kind of just chatted through that SEO, and it was kind of a little burst of energy for
hmm
me there to refocus our clients on that. And but if someone wanted to get more information about you or your company, how would they reach out to you?
The best way would be to go to our website, onethingmarketing.net. we have a free ebook. So if you are in the trades fields, there is a free ebook with the 9 top tips for your digital marketing game plan. And most of them are focused on organic search engine optimization. So
Mm.
definitely get that free download. And if you just don't want to read, you just know you need help already, there's a free strategy session link right after that on our homepage as well. So feel free to book a 30-minute free strategy with me, and I can kind of help make a better game plan and tell you that yes, there's 0 searches in Diboll, Texas, but the city next to it gets 500 a month. So maybe we should target that instead.
Awesome.
Great, great.
Well,
Well,
yeah, we love hearing all your thoughts on SEO, and hopefully, some of these lemon heads have learned something and some tips for success. But we will definitely be linking your free ebook and the free strategy call that you have down there below. So listeners, take a look at that. And yeah, great things coming from you, Brittany, and One Thing Marketing. So, well, listeners, this is another episode.
yeah.
If you'd like to leave us a review, please do so. And as always, if you see anything on social media, we'd love to share that. Thanks for listening.
See you next time.
Bye.